This is Amanda. Welcome back to my Texas Zone 8A garden, and today we're going to be doing some work in the shade garden, a little bit of organizing, and I'm going to be winterizing my roses. Okay, so we've been doing a ton of work in the shade garden, and if you haven't seen those videos, be sure to check them out. I'll kind of link them all below. But today I really need to do a little bit of organizing because I have several large containers that need to get moved into the space, and right now I've got stuff everywhere. Let me show you. Okay, this is coming from, here, let me show you, this outside gate on my side yard into the shade garden, and you can see that I've got stuff pretty much everywhere in this space. And what I really need to do is I really just need to basically get a bunch of my pots stacked up, get this space cleaned up, things on this area all cleaned up because I have several plants that need to get moved over here. And Jeff is going to be helping me do that later this evening. So I wanted to get the space straightened up before we started moving things around. Okay, so I feel like I'm starting to learn my camera angles for the shade garden. But over here, I've got a lot of trash. I've got a lot of junk. I've got some shelves up here. This plant, I literally sat here during the summer and have barely touched it. I got it on clearance for $5. And it's a Portulacaria afra. And I've grown it before. It was $25 and it was on clearance at Walmart for $5. I typically bring these in during the winter. But what I'm going to do is really just kind of start going through this and figuring out where I want to put some different things. I have a lot of random stuff here, like I have a lot of these old brick pieces, and which looks weird that I would even keep these, but I use these as pot feet quite frequently. And typically in my area, I'll drive by and I love scouring like people's trash. The stuff they throw on the side of the road. So like I picked up a whole bunch of these for an area where they had knocked down like a brick gate. And so I grabbed a bunch of the broken pieces, which is weird. I'm sure a bunch of people grabbed like the regular pieces, the normal pieces. But yeah, having a bunch of those, I think they're so pretty to utilize as pot feet. Obviously, they're free, which is awesome too. But I think that I love the texture and I love the look of them. So if you ever see anything like that when you're out and about, be sure to grab them up for lifting up pots. Got some hoses and stuff for drip lines, which I actually will be adding some drip lines really quick. I already put them all the way around the perimeter, but I will be adding some once I get some of the plants I've got ready coming over into here. I'll be adding custom drip lines in, but for now I'm actually going to clean things up. Okay, and here got some fertilizer, got added soil, hot mess. What I think I'm going to do is my goal under here is to put a lot of containers, and I've got some over here already, and I'm wanting to kind of use that space to kind of get some of those containers up and out. I mainly have my containers spread out everywhere, and that's not so great because I have a hard time finding things. But I want to be able to turn them upside down. I've always loved the look of stacked containers, and I would love to have something like all terracotta. I would love to do that, but it's just really not appropriate for my weather here. I can do a lot of them, but when we get really harsh cold weather and we get freezes, if the terracotta is wet, it'll expand and crack. So that sucks. A lot of them I have to bring under the porch during the winter. And I do like to use a lot of the plastic pots like this one because I move things around myself most of the time, and this makes it easier on my back. I would like to continue gardening for many decades, and I don't want to wreck my back too quickly. Even though I've had 3 kids and I've carried around 3 kids, I probably wrecked my back already. So I've got these terracotta pots that I picked up from Callaway's, and they were 90% off. Here's a tag. 90% off. They were really $60 each, and I got them for 90% off, and I don't have that math in my head at the moment, but really good deal. Very happy with them. I bought 3 of them, not knowing anything about what I'm going to do with them, but I couldn't pass up the deal. Okay, so these pots take up a lot of room down here. So some of these lighter pots, I think I'm just going to stick to the side and stack them on each other for the time being, so that I have more room for like the terracotta pots that I don't actually know what I'm doing anything with yet. I can stack them on each other there. I do have a lot of these little terracotta pots that I also got for 90% off at that same sale. They were regularly like $6 each. Okay, and then I have some other beautiful pots that I kind of would like set out a little bit so that I can enjoy them. I think they're all really pretty. With my saucers, they catch water just like that. Got all kinds of worms and stuff. So I think I'll start stacking a few of those underneath. Stacking them upside down the right way. These are a bunch of vintage saucers that I got at that vintage market that I did a recent video on. I'm also wondering about having just like a big bin that I can put like loose soil that I'm not using. Maybe put some holes in it, but like I've got soil in here, but don't want to do anything with it, but I want to store the pot. For now, I'm just going to use some of these vegetable buckets over here. Let me grab one. I'm going to be doing a lot more vegetable gardening in 2024. I've been doing a lot of research about like companion planting and for flowers and vegetables, and I really love the idea and concept. So I would like to try to do a better job mixing them in. And I'm excited to grow more vegetables, even though I like flowers better. So I bought this at a thrift store. I think it would be really cool to use as a pot someday. Okay, I've got a bunch of stepping stones. Let's grab those. So this is the front corner of the house, and I store stuff here all the time. It drives my husband insane. I'm going to move a bunch of these. things. This guy right here I got off of Facebook Marketplace for $75. Really happy with it. I think it looks amazing. And I don't know if it's going to go in the shade garden or if it's going to go out in somewhere in the back garden. I haven't decided yet. However, I do know right here is going to go that other 3-tiered metal piece that I do have. So let me see if I can get some things shifted around. I do have, this is more statuary. This guy's pretty heavy. Okay, let me show you this piece. All right. This guy is going right here. Oh, that looks so good. So my goal with this guy is I would really like to fill it with a wide variety of ferns over time, which I think would be really good. Now you can probably see all the light still on me, and it's right in the middle of the day, and it's because I have not installed the shade sails. There's going to be a few shade sails that are going to be over the top here. I'll put up a picture of what those look like, and those are going to be installed to cast additional shade throughout the day so that we will have a true shade garden back here. But I think this looks nice. I left a little bit of space over here because I do have some containers that I'm wanting to put in here, and like I really want the shade garden to be very, very lush. So lots of containers, even around just the base here. I think it would be great. Everything's going to be container gardening in here for the time being until maybe someday I'll decide to add something else, maybe just ground cover into the area. But yeah, this looks really nice right here. Now what do I do with that? Nice to have some statuary back here. I don't know if this is really the right size of what I'm looking for, but it'll be cool to try for now. I think it'd be better with a bigger one. I have a bigger one, but I don't know if it can sit on that old base. Okay, bigger definitely looks better back here. That actually looks pretty nice. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so then you can just imagine ferns spilling out of here. This container hasn't even been hooked up to drip, and it still has papyrus going and the dichondra falls going, which looks really good. Several of these also have daffodil bulbs in them. I don't know how well they'll do because they're not going to be getting as much sun, but I think this will look nice. Love to do something like some type of Japanese maple in here. Basically, I want the fence to just disappear back here. I think it's going to be a lot of moving around in the beginning, but I think we'll be good. So I've opened up this side. Let me show you. Okay, so I've opened up this side right here, and I have a bunch of hydrangea containers that are going to go over here. Let me show you what those look like on the back porch. Breathing hard. Feels good to be outside though. Feels really good to be outside. Okay, let's look at these. Okay, These are 3 hydrangea containers, and these are just some hydrangeas that I got on clearance after Mother's Day a couple of years ago. And their foliage, because they're undercover here, their foliage has just turned this like beautiful red tone, which is absolutely beautiful. So I have 3 of those, which will go in that corner. And then over here, I have 1 additional one right there too, which will go there. So those 4 pots will be coming out. Uh-oh, Buffy has found me. And then I also have this guy right here that has some shade plants in it too. That needs to go back there in the heuchera. But yeah, this will clear out this space a lot, which will be really great because I can put other things there. Okay, so I have some additional items here. Originally, these posts were going to be used as part of the entrance, and then I decided not to do it. However, I might end up building trellis out of this. Imagine standing those 2 up right there and right there. Let me move back a little bit. And they have the beautiful, like this is one of the corbels at the top. Beautiful corbel at the top. And then stringing, I have extra lattice. I could do extra lattice between them so that all of this goes up, and I could grow a beautiful vine on that trellis at the back of this container, which I think could be very, very cool. And then I've just got some old junky metal pieces that I've broken. This is actually the base of this piece right here. It snapped off right there. It used to be right there. And it was one big, tall, beautiful trellis piece, but I kept both of them because I think they're beautiful. And then these are some old, like, whiskey barrel rings. I don't know if there's a whiskey barrel, but barrel rings that I've kept. I've always wanted to make a sculpture out of them. I think it would be very cool. Now, back over here, I've got that big, let me move the tripod. I've got that big pot that I used for my witch's cauldron. And that is going to hold a future Japanese maple, which I think will be good. This is not going to stay here. It doesn't fit right. It's too square. It needs to be rounded here. I don't have like a ton of space in between my walkways, so I feel like it needs to be rounded so I don't catch edges. Still lots of space right here for more containers. Yeah, this is looking really, really good. Okay, so it's the next day, and I ended up moving stuff late into the evening, and I'll give you a little bit of a look at the shade garden at the end. But right now I really want to talk about winterizing roses. So roses are something that I'm trying to do more of. I'm interested in. I've been doing a lot of research, and I would like to provide more care for my roses. And I do have some newer roses that I recently got. This one right here is Belinda's Dream, and I got this for really cheap at Tractor Supply at the end of the season. And winterizing roses in Zone 8A, my zone, is going to be different than winterizing roses in colder zones. Winterizing roses in colder zones is a whole other different situation. So I'm just really going to focus on how I'm winterizing roses for my particular area. I want to do some simple things. I'm not really interested in going ridiculously over the top with my roses. You all know that I also am very much of like survival of the fittest, but I don't think there's anything wrong with doing a few things to help out a little bit as well. So let's talk about a couple of different things. I have most of my roses, or all my roses, are in containers. I am going to be focusing on roses that are more like cut flower roses, and not focusing on like landscape or shrub or roses like that, carpet roses. So I'm not going to focus on like my Oh So Easy roses or anything like that. Just these ones that are in particular containers. Because they're in containers, they're more likely to get colder, and so those are the ones that I really need to protect a little bit more. A few things you can do is, we don't want to heavily prune at this time of year because pruning does encourage more growth. What I'm really looking at is I'm looking at some of these branches that are going to coming a little bit further over that might have some issues with heavy winds, or if we get snow, or more likely my area when we get ice. I'm looking at that. I'm also looking at pruning like broken branches. Like this is a broken branch right here So I want to go ahead and just prune that off. I'm looking for any disease, anything like that that doesn't look great. This guy is a newer rose. He's in pretty good shape. And I'm not really interested. I don't want to take a whole bunch of the growth off. So one thing I can do is, if I don't want to prune, and you can prune if you want. If I was going to prune this guy, I would probably prune about 12 inches off the very top of it. Just kind of keep it easy like that. I'm not going to do a heavy pruning. I'll save that for Valentine's Day. But if you don't want to do the pruning, but you want to support these heavy branches, we can use twine to gather these together and have them support each other. Let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so I just have a big thing of jute twine. So what I'm going to do is just cut a length. It's probably about 3 feet long. This is a smaller rose. And basically all I'm going to do is kind of wrap my twine around so I can gather up all of my branches. And I'm going to kind of pull until I can get them a little bit closer together with one another. I'm not trying to pull them like really tight, but I'm really trying to pull them together all as one so they work stronger together. That's a very simple method. Now, typically we wouldn't do a lot of this winterization of the roses until a lot of the foliage had fallen, and we haven't had cold enough temperatures. Even though it's mid-December, we haven't really had cold enough temperatures yet for a lot of the leaves to fall off at this point. And so this makes it a little bit harder, but I did want to go ahead and show you guys how to do that, because this weekend we are going to have some really cold weather, and I've already got plans for next week. So, but yeah, this is one of the things that you can do to hold it together. So now the next part, the next thing you would want to do is you can apply something like a copper fungicide. Let me grab mine to show you. Okay, I use Captain Jack's copper fungicide, and basically this is going to help protect your roses during the cold off periods from disease. And so basically what you would do is you would spray this down really, really well. Now, I don't want to spray mine down right now because it's still covered with all these leaves. All these leaves are going to fall off. It would just be a huge waste of product at this point in time. So I really need to wait until it drops its leaves. It will this weekend, because we have a little bit more of a more significant freeze. When I say significant freeze, I mean it's just going to be under 32 for like more than a few hours. So it's not like a hard freeze. It'll be fine. But basically, once it drops all its leaves, then I'm going to go back in and spray it down with my copper fungicide. This is just a precaution to help prevent any disease over the winter time. Super simple and easy. I have the sprayer because I hate attaching or I buy it like this because I hate attaching a container to the hose to work with. I know, it's a me thing, not a you thing. And so I used to do it this way. You can buy a concentrate that's much less expensive than doing it this way. But yeah, this is just a simple, easy way. And then there's one more step that we want to do, and that is applying mulch to the crown of the rose. So let me show you what that's going to look like. Let me rotate this a little bit. So right here is the crown of the rose. This is just like basically where the stem or the root kind of comes above the ground a little bit. And this is definitely where you want to add some protection, especially if your containers or if your roses are in containers. So it's a pretty easy process in that I'm just going to take some pine bark, or this is cypress bark. You can do mulch, you can do compost, you can use cardboard, burlap, something like that. And I'm just going to put about 2 to 3 inches of mulch at the crown of the rose. Now, if you are in much colder temps, you would do a whole lot more for this. Now, a couple of the key things for our area, for Zone 8A, you don't want to do this too soon. You don't want to do this when it's still too hot outside, because basically you're creating an oven. I'm doing this now because we are expecting colder temps, and I'm kind of showing you guys what's going on. This creates an oven. The other thing is, come late winter, when it's time to start pruning, it is time to go ahead and pull all of this away. Hopefully a lot of it will start breaking down and decompose, but you will end up pulling all of this away from the crown. And I'll show you guys what that's going to look like in February when we come back to prune these for the new season. Okay, so those are my 3 things that I'm doing for winterizing. The first one is pruning. We're only removing diseased or dead branches or long branches that we think may or might get affected by ice or heavy snow. If you don't want to prune them, then you can use some twine to gather them all together, have them support each other. Secondly, we're applying copper fungicide treatment once the leaves have dropped. That's the important thing. You don't want to waste a ton of product. You can defoliate this, but this would take me a long time to defoliate this, and I would shred my fingers from all the thorns. But you want to apply the copper fungicide to help with any disease over the winter. And then finally, we want to apply 2 to 3 inches of mulch or compost to the crown, right around the crown of the rose. That's the area where it comes out of the earth. And that is going to provide an extra layer of warmth, especially if your roses are in containers. Now, if we were to have like some crazy cold temps where we were going to get below 20 degrees, where it might actually start affecting some of my roses, like legitimately start giving them some real issues. A couple of different things is I could wrap these pots in burlap or even plastic, just the bottom part of the pot. That would help keep them a little bit warmer. That'd be nice. And then these are still smaller. I could still bring these into my garage for that cold weather, which would be helpful as well. Okay, but those are my tips for winterizing your roses. Winter roses are going to be a big exploration for me over the next few years. You might have seen my recent video talking about roses, the ones I have, the ones I want, and what I'm doing to learn about them. And so winterizing them is something that I feel like I have to start putting a little bit of effort in. This is not intense winterizing. This is not intense winterizing. This is just a few things to help them out throughout the colder weather. But let's go take a look at the shade garden to see where we're at after all that organizing. Okay, so we did, let me just show you some of these real quick. This is my America climbing rose. Y'all, it's doing so good. I won't see these blooms in another week. Going to be climbing up over there. One thing I really need to do is I really need to get it buried right in here. I need to go ahead and plant it. Maybe that'll come up with a future project. But let's go through the entrance. Now it's definitely going to look a little cluttered to start off with. Let's see. But definitely feeling better. So I moved this rack over here. Got the hook rod moved over here, and last night it was kind of dark, so maybe all of these hydrangeas, there's 4 hydrangea containers here, and they're kind of like stacked, so tall, 2 mediums, and a short. I don't know if these are going to stay here in this exact combination. I kind of like the idea of moving these hydrangeas around. I did get some pretty good blooms. I don't really know these varieties very well because I just bought them all on clearance, and they were basically just those, you know, plants that you get for like Mother's Day and that you bring inside and they die and everybody throws them away. But yeah, I got them for like $1 each, or really cheap. So they've been fun to grow, and I do expect a lot of blooms. I have not cut on these in 2 years. So this guy is definitely having some issues. He got the brunt of the early freezes. These guys were a little bit more protected, but we definitely have some freeze issues in there. But pretty much after this week, these will all be gone, de-leafed at this point. Really like this corner too. I like the statue up high. I look excited about the idea of filling a lot of these pots with different stuff, and I probably will be doing that some next week because I do have several plants that I bought. And then this area right here, I'm hoping to fill with all ferns. I'll be hooking drip up to that. And then the Vigo garden, this is the taller version. The Vigo garden, so it's 32 inches tall. It's going to be really fun figuring out what kind of trellis I'm going to do. I know I was just talking about building a trellis, but one of the things I'd also thought about doing is getting a giant headboard like what I did for my Don Juan rose. Can you imagine like this big, like scrolly, elaborate headboard? That'd be so cool. Oh, I might really do that. Got my bench a little more organized. Put some of my pots and statuaries in place. And then down here, stacked a lot down here, which is looking really good. Here's the back view. We're going to be looking into the sun. Everything's looking really nice, and I think this is a really good start to organizing the shade garden, because now I will be at the point where I can actually do some planting and start on some projects within here, which would be amazing. I think the next big thing is getting some plants planted and hooking up drip to all the plants to make sure that they're good to go for the winter. All right, y'all, I hope you enjoyed today's video watching me just piddle around in the shade garden, which is actually something I really want to do. Like, that's something that I have been looking forward to, just spending time in it. And so I really, really enjoyed doing that. And then also watching me go through the 3 steps for winterizing roses for my particular area. If you have additional steps for winterizing roses in zone 8A, drop them below, let me know. A lot of people don't do anything here. You know, they don't mess with them at all, and that is perfectly fine. And there are definitely going to be years that I'll skip it, and this is just a year that I'm wondering if it will benefit, because a lot of them are newer for me, so they're not as established. And so I think it would be nice to go ahead, take care of them with those 3 simple, easy steps that don't take very much time, you know, so it's pretty easy. I do consider myself lucky that I'm not in one of the colder zones where we have to wrap the whole plant in burlap and it's like a whole thing. I'm lucky that I don't have to do as many steps as that. But drop your information below if you're in zone 8A or 9 or 10 or one of the warmer zones, and let me know what you're doing to winterize your roses. All right, you all, as always, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know my latest videos are up, and be sure to check me out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. As always, she's a mad gardener or a decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.